Welcome to a new episode of the podcast. Vox Agent is made by AI for business executives that work with AI. It's great to have you with us for another deep dive. Today, we're really trying to cut through the hype. We're getting to the strategic core of a topic that's, well, it's truly reshaping our world. Artificial General Intelligence, AGI. We've pulled together a carefully curated stack of sources, the latest articles, some cutting-edge research, and our own notes, all designed to give you the clearest, most actionable insights into what AGI truly means for business. Our mission today is to unpack how close we might be, what defines this powerful technology, and critically, its profound implications for your organization. Okay, let's unpack this.
Indeed. And what's really fascinating here, I think, is that AGI isn't just sci-fi anymore, is it? It feels like a real, albeit still uncertain prospect, and it demands proactive planning from, well, really every business leader. We're looking at a technology with this powerful potential. It really calls for flexible strategy and responsible innovation.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. The fundamental distinction, because, we all use AI today. It's in our email, our streaming customer service bots.
Yeah.
How is AGI actually different from this narrow AI that we're already pretty familiar with?
That's the critical first step, yeah. What we interact with daily, that's narrow AI. Think of it like a highly specialized tool. It excels at one very specific task within a, predefined domain, like an AI that can beat a chess grandmaster or translate languages instantly or drive a car. These are all narrow AI. They're superhuman in their niche, sure. But ask that chess AI to, draft a legal brief. It's completely lost.
Right. A specialist tool.
Yeah.
Incredibly good at his one job, but just that one job.
Right.
Okay. And AGI then would be the opposite, more of a generalist.
Exactly. AGI, sometimes called strong AI or human-level AI, it would be fundamentally different. So instead of that specialist tool, imagine more like a versatile human colleague. An AGI system would possess broad human-level cognitive abilities. It could match or even potentially surpass human performance across virtually all intellectual domains. It could learn basically any new intellectual task a human can. It would show general problem solving, adaptability, learning ability, far beyond any one specific thing.
That's a really compelling distinction. A versatile colleague versus a specialist tool. But this idea, this dream of general intelligence in machines, it isn't new, is it? This has been the goal for AI researchers for, well, decades.
Oh, absolutely. The quest for general AI, it's really as old as the field itself. It began back in the 1950s and 60s with pioneers like Alan Turing. Early efforts, things like Simon and Newell's general problem solver, they aimed for this domain-independent reasoning, but they quickly ran into, well, complexity limits, big ones, which led to what we now call the AI winters.
Oh, yes, the winters.
Yeah.
Cycles of huge optimism followed by reality checks.
Precisely. Periods of disillusionment when breakthroughs just proved way harder than anyone expected. So for decades, AI research sort of pivoted. It focused on more tractable, narrow problems. And we saw significant milestones then for what we now call weak AI. IBM's Deep Blue beating Kasparov in '97.
Right.
Watson winning Jeopardy in 2011.
Jeopardy, yeah.
And DeepMind's AlphaGo mastering Go in 2016. These were amazing feats demonstrating superhuman performance, but they also clearly showed the limits, right? They were incredible within their constrained tasks, but couldn't generalize at all. Then came the deep learning revolution, maybe around the 2010s. This is where things truly started to pick up speed again. Models like GPT-3 and now GPT-4, they began to blur those lines. Suddenly, they showed competence across a surprisingly wide range of tasks. Language, coding, math, general knowledge, all in one model. DeepMind's Gato, that was 2022, was a significant step, a kind of proto-AGI generalist trained on over 600 different tasks.
600, wow.
Yeah, from playing Atari games to controlling robot arms. Now, it wasn't perfect, but it showcased the feasibility, of one network handling really diverse inputs and outputs. This whole history, it really shows AI kind of inching from specialized, narrow skills towards broader, more general ones.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for me. If we're talking about AGI operating at a human level, what are the core capabilities?
Yeah.
What truly sets it apart? What makes it more than just a really, really smart specialist?
Right. To really be AGI, human-level AGI, a system needs several key capabilities. First, reasoning and problem solving. It has to reason logically, devise strategies, tackle novel problems, stuff it hasn't seen before, using general logic or creativity, like a human would. Second, knowledge representation, including common sense. This is a big one. An AGI needs to store and use knowledge about the world, including that everyday common sense we just take for granted.
The common sense problem. To avoid those weird, nonsensical answers we sometimes see now.
Exactly. That helps it avoid the kind of boneheaded conclusions that often trip up current narrow AIs. Third, learning and adaptation. This is key. Unlike today's models, which are mostly frozen after training, an AGI must be able to continuously learn from experience, improve itself across a wide range of tasks without someone reprogramming it for every new skill.
So lifelong learning, basically.
In a sense, yes. Fourth, planning and goal-directed behavior. It should be able to take complex objectives, break them down into steps, and pull together different skills to achieve broad goals. Like if you asked it to organize an international conference, an AGI could potentially handle everything: research, scheduling, troubleshooting, the lot.
That's complex.
Yeah. Very. Fifth, natural language communication. Mastery of language is expected not just for taking instructions, but for understanding nuance, explaining its reasoning effectively. And maybe most crucially, integration of skills. Where narrow AIs work in silos, one for vision, one for speech, an AGI would unify all these capabilities. It could, say, learn a new game, explain its strategy, and then apply that strategic thinking to a real-world planning problem, all as one unified agent.
A unified agent.
Yeah, that integrated intelligence is the real unlock. It makes it a cohesive entity, not just a patchwork of smart tools. Some also expect things like imagination and autonomy. Physical embodiment could be useful, but isn't strictly required for the definition.
That integration point feels critical. It's like the difference between having a bunch of brilliant solo musicians and having a true orchestra playing together.
That's a great analogy, yes.
So given these really demanding criteria, who are the main players? Who's leading the charge on this AGI frontier right now?
Yeah.
And what are their different strategies, maybe?
Well, there are several major players, definitely at the forefront, each with a slightly different angle. You've got research powerhouses like OpenAI. They have an explicit AGI mission, right? And we all know the GPT series.
GPT-4, yeah. Very impressive.
Exactly. GPT-4 is remarkably advanced, handles complex text, image inputs, coding. It's scored in the 90th percentile on the bar exam.
Incredible.
But even OpenAI is clear. It's not autonomous AGI yet. It still needs human prompts, human oversight. It's an assistant. Then there's DeepMind, now fully part of Google DeepMind. Their background is really strong in reinforcement learning, AI learning through trial and error.
Like AlphaGo.
Precisely, AlphaGo, AlphaZero. And they're doing amazing things in science now, too, with AlphaFold for protein folding. Their upcoming Gemini model is expected to combine their LLM strengths with that reinforcement learning expertise. They see current models like ChatGPT as maybe emerging AGI, kind of like an unskilled human in terms of breadth.
Okay, so OpenAI and DeepMind are big names. Who else?
Anthropic is another key one. Founded by former OpenAI researchers, they really emphasize AI safety and alignment alongside capability.
But they're Claude models.
Yes, and their constitutional AI approach. They've attracted huge investment, like over $4 billion from Amazon, highlighting this idea that safety and capability have to go hand in hand. That's crucial for businesses thinking about adoption. Meta's AI division, Facebook AI, they've taken a more open source route with models like LMA2, trying to democratize access, which could be big for many companies.
And beyond those big labs.
Oh yeah, lots of others. Microsoft is obviously huge, pushing AI into products through its OpenAI partnership. IBM is working on neurosymbolic AI, trying to blend neural nets with symbolic reasoning for, hopefully, more reliability and explainability. Major Chinese tech giants too, Baidu, Alibaba, Huawei, plus a whole ecosystem of startups, Inflection AI, Mistral AI in Europe, open collectives like Luther AI, even Elon Musk's new XAI project. It's a very crowded, very competitive field. Everyone's tackling different pieces of this massive AGI puzzle.
Hearing about all these ambitious groups and their different strengths, it makes you wonder, what does this all mean for what AI can currently do? What's the actual demonstrable progress we're seeing today?
Well, we've seen incredible strides already, things that are already impactful for businesses. First, just broad task mastery. Models like GPT-4 can tackle novel, difficult tasks across many domains without needing specific fine-tuning.
Writing code and poetry in the same session.
Exactly. That kind of versatility was unthinkable just a few years back. Then there's human competitive performance. We talked about the bar exam, the GRE verbal scores for GPT-4. DeepMind's AlphaCode performs like a novice programmer. AI is genuinely acing complex human tests. Another big leap is learning without explicit programming. Modern AI learns from these massive data sets and sometimes finds creative, unexpected solutions. Reinforcement learning agents playing games in ways their programmers never imagined, for instance.
Finding loopholes.
Sometimes, yes. And finally, we're seeing the beginnings of integration of capabilities. Things like ChatGPT plugins, allowing the AI to do things beyond just chatting book flights, order groceries, or LLMs guiding robots to perform physical tasks based on complex commands.
Still early days on that integration, though.
Oh, very rudimentary still. But it shows how language understanding is starting to connect with real-world action. That's a crucial step towards AGI.
That all sounds incredibly powerful, remarkably versatile. Feels like AI is just everywhere now.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier, it's not true AGI yet. What are the big roadblocks, the remaining obstacles stopping us from reaching that full human-level general intelligence?
Right. Despite all the progress, some critical limitations persist. A major one is the reliance on human input. Current models like GPT-4 are powerful assistants, yes, but they aren't autonomous agents. They wait for a prompt, they lack initiative, the ability to pursue long-term goals on their own.
They don't decide what to do next.
Exactly. Then there's a fundamental lack of deep understanding. Even when the output sounds intelligent, they often reveal a shallow grasp of concepts. They make factual errors contradict themselves. It gives this illusion of competence. Someone cleverly said current AI can be omniscient and boneheaded at the same time.
Huh. Omniscient and boneheaded, I like that. It perfectly captures that feeling you sometimes get, doesn't it? That uncanny valley.
It really does. It knows so much information, but doesn't seem to truly understand it in a grounded, common-sense way.
And are there specific areas where this lack of deep understanding really holds them back, especially for business use?
Absolutely. It shows up as specialized weaknesses. LLMs, for example, still struggle with certain kinds of logic puzzles or complex multi-step reasoning. Vision models often don't generalize well from training data to new unseen situations. Reinforcement agents are typically very narrow in their expertise. There's just no single system right now that robustly handles the full spectrum of human cognitive tasks from, say, strategic planning to subtle social interaction, and perhaps the biggest category, safety and trust issues. These are paramount.
Hallucinations, bias.
Precisely. Hallucinations, biases baked in from data, brittleness where they fail unexpectedly. These prevent deploying them in critical roles without constant human checks. And the big one, the alignment problem. Ensuring AGI actually acts according to human values and goals. That's arguably the most significant obstacle, maybe even harder than achieving raw intelligence itself.
Because a super smart system doing the wrong thing is dangerous.
Potentially very dangerous, yes. A misaligned superintelligence could pose serious risks. So, to bridge this gap, we need advancements across several areas. We need improved learning paradigms, ways for AI to learn quickly from few examples, like humans do, and adapt continuously. Common sense and knowledge integration are crucial, maybe through neurosymbolic approaches, blending neural nets with logic, or training on multimodal data, text, images, sound-to-ground understanding in the real world.
So it knows what a cat is, not just the word cat.
Exactly. We need better memory and cognitive persistence so AI can hold context over time, learn on the fly. We need better reasoning and planning modules for more systematic thought. Plus, ongoing work on scaling and efficiency, these models are hugely expensive to run. And critically, woven through all of this, alignment and safety mechanisms to ensure powerful AI remains beneficial and controllable.
Okay, that's a clear picture of the challenges. But flipping back to the potential.
Yeah.
Given all this, why should business leaders really care about AGI, especially now when it seems uncertain? What's the potential upside?
Oh, the value proposition is just immense. AGI could spark a revolution in productivity. Think Industrial Revolution scale, but for intellectual labor. Generative AI alone is already projected to add trillions annually by automating tasks like customer support, content creation.
We're seeing that already.
Right. And AGI could potentially function as a highly capable digital employee or even a digital team working 24/7, automating really complex cognitive work. PwC estimated AI broadly could add $15.7 trillion globally by 2030. AGI would amplify that massively.
Those automating tasks we don't even think of as automatable now.
Exactly. Automation beyond routine. Imagine tackling your most complex strategic challenges, market entry analysis, M&A due diligence, deep scientific R&D accelerated by an AI that truly understands your business context. It's not just about doing things faster, it's about changing the speed and scope of innovation itself. This also naturally leads to new products and services, things we can barely imagine now. Highly intelligent personal assistants, truly smart ERP systems that autonomously optimize supply chains, hyper-personalized generative entertainment.
And presumably, fewer errors.
That's another huge one. Quality and accuracy improvements, drastically reducing human error in critical fields. Think healthcare diagnosis, manufacturing quality control. Plus, unprecedented speed and scalability. Processes crunched from weeks down to minutes. Scaling tasks like handling customer inquiries almost infinitely. And ultimately, it all boils down to competitive advantage. Early adopters, those who figure this out first, stand to gain disproportionate market share, missing the AGI wave. That could be like missing the internet revolution. It could fundamentally reshape industries and who leads them.
Wow. So it's not just about doing current things better or faster. It sounds like AGI could fundamentally change how every business operates, the very nature of work and value creation. For a business leader, that really does sound like something you cannot afford to ignore.
Exactly right. The ability to automate cognitive labor, not just physical labor, on such a vast scale. It means every industry, every business model could be up for radical transformation. Leaders need to see this less as a futuristic fantasy and more as a strategic imperative. It requires proactive thinking and engagement now.
Okay, so with that kind of transformative potential, there must be equally significant hurdles, right? You touched on some technical ones, but what are the big challenges businesses will face when actually trying to grapple with AGI?
Oh, absolutely. The challenges are profound, spanning technical, ethical, and societal dimensions. On the technical side, we already mentioned alignment and goal misspecification. Ensuring an AGI's goals stay truly aligned with what we intend. That's a massive unsolved problem. Even a slight misalignment in a superintelligent system could lead it to take harmful actions while pursuing its programmed objective.
The paperclip maximizer problem, kind of.
That's the classic thought experiment, yes. Then there's reliability and robustness. For mission-critical business tasks, you need near-perfect consistency. AGI needs to handle weird edge cases, avoid those hallucinations current models have. That level of reliability isn't there yet. Transparency and explainability, the black box problem. How do you trust or regulate a decision if you can't understand why the AI made it? That's crucial for things like loan applications or medical advice.
Huge for compliance, too.
Huge. Data privacy and security risks get amplified. Imagine the data an AGI would need access to. It's a massive target for leaks or attacks. And the sheer resource intensity, the compute power, the energy needed for training and running these models raises serious questions about cost, sustainability, and equitable access.
Okay, those are big technical hurdles. What about the wider impacts, ethical, societal risks?
Those are arguably even more complex. Job displacement is a major concern. AGI won't just affect routine tasks. It could impact a much wider range of roles, including high-skilled professions, analysts, designers, even some managers.
We're already seeing generative AI projections. McKinsey saying 60–70% of current activities could be automated.
Yes, and potentially half of all work activities automated by 2045. This requires serious thought about workforce transition, reskilling, maybe even societal safety nets. Algorithmic bias and fairness is another huge one. If AGI learns from biased historical data, it can perpetuate or even amplify discrimination in areas like hiring, lending, policing, leading to serious legal and reputational damage for businesses.
And the fake news problem on steroids.
Exactly. Misinformation and trust erosion. Imagine AI generating incredibly realistic fake text, images, videos, deepfakes at scale. How do we maintain trust in information? And then you get into the heavier existential risks. There's a serious debate among experts about whether a misaligned superintelligent AGI could pose a fundamental threat to humanity's future.
The open letters, the calls for pauses.
Right. Even if you're skeptical about the most extreme scenarios, the need for robust safety measures as AI gets more powerful is pretty widely accepted now. And even before superintelligence, there's ethical decision-making by AI. How should an AGI make moral choices in complex situations? The self-driving car trolley problem is the classic example, but similar dilemmas could arise in business contexts.
Which leads to regulation, I assume.
Absolutely. Regulatory and policy considerations are evolving rapidly but lagging behind the tech. You've got the EU AI Act trying to create risk-based rules, but huge questions remain about liability, who's responsible if an AGI causes harm, how do we enforce privacy? There's a lack of established standards globally. And then bringing it right down to the enterprise level, integration with legacy systems is technically hard, change management is critical, dealing with workforce resistance, fear of job losses, there are huge workforce skill gaps. And just the cultural adaptation needed to work alongside highly intelligent machines, embedding ethical guidelines. These are really significant practical challenges for any company.
That is a lot to consider. A minefield, almost.
Yeah.
The risks seem just as profound as the potential rewards. So this raises the big question. Given this complex landscape, all these challenges, and the really uncertain timeline for AGI, what practical steps can leaders take now? How do you prepare strategically for something so potentially disruptive, but also so uncertain?
That's the crux of it. Proactive, flexible planning is paramount. You can't just wait and see. First step, educate and scenario plan, right up to the leadership level. The C-suite, the board, they must understand these AI trends, not just the hype, and plan for different AGI timelines. What's our strategy if AGI arrives early, say in 5 years? What if it's more like 10, 15 years? What if it takes 20 plus years or development stagnates?
So different playbooks depending on how things unfold.
Exactly. It's about building optionality, the ability to pivot your strategy based on the signals you're seeing. Be ready to pounce if things accelerate, but don't overinvest based on hype if progress slows. Second, invest in current AI projects. Don't wait for AGI. Start piloting existing tools like the generative AI available now.
Learn by doing.
Precisely. This builds organizational capability, forces you to tackle data issues, and teaches invaluable lessons about integration, workflow changes, measuring ROI. Third, build data and infrastructure readiness. AGI, like current AI, thrives on data. Get your data house in order now, unify it, clean it. Invest in cloud capacity, GPU compute, that specialized processing power, and establish really robust data governance frameworks.
Get the foundations right.
Foundational. Fourth, develop an AI talent strategy. You need people who understand this. Hire AI experts, yes, but also crucially, upskill your existing workforce. Think about roles like prompt engineers, AI system integrators, AI ethicists, foster internal champions. Fifth, create ethical and governance frameworks. Don't wait for regulators. Establish your own AI ethics principles: fairness, transparency, privacy, accountability. Set up internal review committees. Plan for contingencies. What are your kill switches if an AI system goes off the rails?
Be proactive on the ethics front.
Absolutely critical for trust and long-term viability. Sixth, engage with the external ecosystem. Talk to peers and industry consortia, partner with academics, stay plugged into policy discussions, share best practices, learn from others, keep tabs on emerging regulations. Seventh, financial planning for AI investments. This isn't cheap. Integrate AI into your budget's R&D, potential tech acquisitions, employee retraining costs. Think about balancing tangible ROI with more intangible strategic benefits. And finally, number 8, monitor and adapt. This field is moving incredibly fast. Set up processes for continuous monitoring of tech developments, competitor moves, have regular executive briefings to ensure you can adjust your strategy quickly. Ultimately, successful AGI integration, whenever it comes, will require overcoming workforce fears, bridging the gap between old systems and new AI, and maintaining the absolute highest ethical standards. These steps are about laying that strong, adaptable foundation today.
That's incredibly actionable advice. Thank you. It really drives home the point that AGI matters profoundly. Not just because it promises to redefine competitive advantage, but because it looks set to transform operations and unlock entirely new business models. Preparation isn't just an option. It seems absolutely key for any business that wants to thrive in the coming decades.
And that leads us perhaps to a final provocative thought to leave with you, our listener. With AGI potentially poised to automate, virtually every economically valuable task, how might we as humans need to redefine the very essence of value, of purpose, in a world where intelligence itself becomes increasingly abundant? Something to think about.
Thank you for joining the podcast, and see you soon.